Hi, I'm McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we're going to talk about I'm pregnant and he left. This is actually a video that I did a long time ago. And it actually gets a lot of views. It gets a lot of feedback. I guess there's not a lot of videos with this title. It's actually rated the #1 video when someone types in I'm pregnant and he left. Anyhow, I'm going to unpack a story today, a real breakup story of someone that's been left. I haven't read the whole story yet, but we'll review that. We'll review this video that I made years ago from someone else that sent in a breakup story. But before we get into that, I just want to talk about some things about the topic at hand. I'm pregnant and he left. And so, right off the bat, this is... Sorry, I got to throw the AC on here. This is a topic that there can be a lot of people that aren't empathetic or compassionate to. There can be a lot of people that can throw some sauce on the fire here. And it's a sensitive time, right, for all parties. So the guy, the woman, there's a lot of responsibility heading your way. I've had friends over the years that have had their girlfriends get pregnant or wives get pregnant unexpectedly, and they're just nervous. They're worried. There's a lot of emotions running. And when someone leaves, that's a whole nother story. Before we get started, I'm just going to get some bullet points. I put it in the comments on the side. And please put in the comments if you've ever had an experience with this, or you had a sister, a brother, anyone that's a family member that got pregnant and their partner left and they were still okay. They still ended up being a good parent. Things worked out for them. And this is usually the advice I give to people that send me in questions or stories about this. #1, if your partner left you and you're pregnant, and this is the title of this, we'll get into some other things, but if that's the specific case right now, your #1 focus is having a healthy pregnancy. Okay. So always revert the ship back to, all right, how can I make sure I have a healthy pregnancy? Okay. #2, prepare to be the best parent possible. Okay. Read books on parenting, having babies. Get ready and grow. Get ready for that. Embrace that part of it, because you've decided you're gonna go through with this. You're gonna have this kid. You're gonna go for it. Be the best parent possible. Now, this is really good advice here. Take inventory of the people that you want to lean on in this situation, and the people that want to help you. So sometimes in this situation, you might have some shame, which you shouldn't have. You might be embarrassed. You might be upset. But in this particular case, take some inventory. Make a list of people that you can lean on and the people that want to help you. And this might not be your parents or your grandparents. In a lot of cases, it could be an aunt or an uncle. It could be a family friend. And in some case or way, their parent was a single parent, or they've gone through a similar situation, so they know where you're coming from. And sometimes you can feel like, oh, I'm going to be a nuisance, or I'm going to be annoying. I don't want to bring this. No, this is a time to take inventory of the people, because people want to help you through something like this. This is not a situation where you're just being dramatic. You're bringing a child into the world. It's significant. It's probably one of the most significant things you can do. And you want to get it right from the get-go. So make a list of the people that are your friends, family, or colleagues. And like I said, for everyone, it's not their parents. For everyone, it's not the obvious, oh, go to your mom, or if your mom's in a drug rehab, you're not going to be able to lean on her while you're having a pregnancy. If your mom was a horrible mom, you're not going to be able to lean on her. Now, if your aunt is this great mother, this shining light, this kind of person, reach out to her, even if you haven't called her or talked to her in a long time. You need people that want to help you, that want to be there, that are going to be positive, and that are good moms. Because what they'll do is they'll let you know that this isn't all bad. It isn't all bad. It's a blessing. So next thing to do, know that you have one of life's greatest gifts coming. It's a privilege to have a kid. Okay? So this, this is why I'm saying take an inventory and a list of people that you want to lean on, or you want to spend time with, or you want to air out your fears, your worries, because you're having a pregnancy that wasn't planned most likely, and that the guy's not around right now and you're worried about it. There's going to be people in your sphere of influence that will be there for you. Okay? Seek advice from other moms you admire. So if there's any other moms out there that you know or you've known over the years, get advice from them. Not on your relationship, but being a parent. Being a parent, whether that's single parent or being there with your boyfriend, your fiance, or your husband, right? It's a challenge in itself. For you to prepare for that, you're going to need to talk to some people that have been through it. If your partner has left, which is what we're going to talk about in a minute, I highly recommend you write out your story and send it into writemac.com, and I'll unpack it with you. Now, here's the thing. Not all stories are the same. I'm not going to get your boyfriend or your husband to come back. No. What you need, and the reason why I'm suggesting this, is you need to talk to an objective third party like myself, okay? And you need to go through what happened in the breakup, because sometimes your emotions and your mood is very high because you're pregnant. You're scared. You're upset. And there's some things that you're being unreasonable about. Not always, but your story counts. What happened in your breakup counts. And when you're pregnant, it really counts. This is an important time. People don't realize that by going to someone, getting all the situation out there, your story, and essentially that's what it is, your story. You can say, oh, let's just throw the facts. Facts are mostly opinions. Most of the things that people think are facts are opinions. There's a statement thrown around now, facts. A lot of times it's not factual. It's your opinion based on bias. And the only way you're going to sift through that shit is if you write out your story and send it into writemac.com, and I'll help you go through it. Because sometimes you're not seeing something, and this is a crucial time that you need to see all the chess pieces, right? Like I said, if you're pregnant, you're probably highly emotional, right? It doesn't mean when you send me the story that you're going to get your ex back or that you're going to teach them a lesson. What you need to do, and the goal would be, get some clarity moving forward and find a new meaning to move forward to be a good mom. So whether that is, you know what, he's never going to grow up, he's on drugs, I don't want him around the kid anyways, so I'm not going to fight with him. I'm just going to put up a stand right now and deal with the fact that, you know what, this isn't going to work, and he's actually not going to be a good dad at this point in his life, so I'm going to have to let him go. That's a narrative. That's a reframe of maybe a story you're going around telling all your friends and family how bad a guy this is. That's not going to help you. It might be true. There might be a lot of people that'll sit there, have a coffee with you, and go on and go, yeah, this guy's such a jerk. That's not going to help you move forward. What you got to realize is, like, is this relationship fixable? Is there some moving parts here I'm not seeing? Is there some things I'm doing wrong? There's a lot of variables to it. So I'd highly recommend that you send your story in on this. I've helped a lot of women out that were in similar situations like this, okay? And for women, sometimes it's good to talk to a man about this. You talk to your friends, family, and colleagues, they're just going to impose on you what happened to them. Okay, so I have this video on deck, which is, like I said, I made this video a long time ago. Look at the closed eyes and the big beard, right? How things changed 4 or 5 years later. I don't know how old this video was. I'll have to look it back up. But like I said in the beginning of this, very popular video on my channel. I'm pregnant and he left. It's actually, like I said, #1 for this title on YouTube. So we'll get into that review, and then we have a story. And I don't remember what I reviewed on this particular one, but there's been a lot of comments. So if you're going through it out there and you want to throw in the comments below, and just think about it right now. We got a few people on deck. If you've known some, and this is the thing about some of the narrative that's out there. We just did a review yesterday on the channel, and this lady was Pearl or Pearly Things or whatever. Was just going on how single moms end up with simps, and that they're always hooking up with the chads, having babies. I mean, the narratives out there with single moms is just absolutely ridiculous. Okay, the thing is, your situation is unique, right? some variables happened. You're pregnant now, and now you can look at it as a blessing, or you can look at it in a variety of ways. But whatever's going on with your relationship, you got to find a new meaning that's going to be something that's going to drive you moving forward. Not one that the worst case scenario, you're sitting there entangled in this bad relationship trying to change something that's not going to change. All right. So let's take a little review of this. And then, like I said, I do have a good story coming up. When I say a good story, I haven't read it yet, but it's a client just sent it in a few days ago. So let's get into this review real quick. I'm kind of curious how it looks. Haven't done actually a video in a long time. That's my deck in Thailand, if you're curious where that's at. So let's check it out.
Breakups. And today there's another breakup story that just came in. And if you have a breakup story you want to share, please visit writemac.com. Or if you'd like to book a live coaching session, get some further clarity on what happened in your breakup or your current relationship. And that came in, actually, this woman was pregnant when the breakup happened, which to me would be more than tough, right? I mean, there's got to be a really good reason to break up with someone while they're pregnant. So let's get right into this one. Hey, Mac, my ex and I were together for 3 years. I'm currently 5 months pregnant with him. I guess that means the guy. I found out a week after he had broken up with me. I told him I was pregnant. But he was seeing someone already. He asked her out 2 weeks after our breakup. They've been together since. It's been about 4 months. I went to his house to see if we could work things out. That's when I asked him if he was seeing someone, and he said, yeah, kind of. But then later on, he said they are just friends. So what do you believe? Later that night, I received a message from this girlfriend being really sweet, just saying that she knows how hard it is to be pregnant, and she's going to be the voice between me and my ex. How do you feel about that? Are you okay with that? I mean, that can work if you're both mature and open to that kind of thing. And if she came to you with good intentions, your boyfriend obviously lied to you in the beginning because he maybe didn't want to hurt your feelings. She called me sis and even left her number, but blocks me after. I was blocked by him, and when he started dating her, he just left it Snapchat open for communication, but also blocked me out of nowhere and also blocked my number. I was in no contact with him for a while. This is ridiculous because you guys are having a baby together, and if you are having a baby together, he should be in contact with you regularly. It says a lot about the man's character. She wanted to meet up with me 3 months ago. He also came along. She was being all positive about helping me out and helping my ex out as well. She asked me to come and live with her and my ex because they were planning on moving in together, and my ex was really happy for me to come live with them. What the fuck? Wow. Would that work? I don't think so. I don't know your situation, but they went from blocking you to not blocking you. He lied in the beginning to not seeing you, and now we just jumped into... She wanted to meet up with me 3 months ago. He also came along that they were going to let you live with them. This is going all over the place. He said he was going to get 2 jobs and he was going to take care of me and the baby, and it would be great to raise his baby in the same home with his new girlfriend. Sounds like he wants his cake and eat it too, because if you guys live in the same house and you had a relationship before and you used to sleep together, he's probably going to try to hook up with you. He said he would be happy. It would be a happy family, even though it sounds weird. What do you think? How do you feel about it? What's your intuition say? Quit thinking what he thinks. While at the meetup, he just kept talking to me. As soon as his girlfriend stepped out to receive a call, he told me, I know I fucked up, but I'm sorry. Just let me get my shit together and we can work things out. I'm not promising you anything. Well, just say sorry for not being there in the time. I mean, I don't know what him saying I'm not promising you anything is kind of letting himself off the hook. She came back immediately, so we didn't get time to talk. I've tried in the past to have a private talk with him, but she never allowed it. And from that day, I haven't seen him since. She would call me every 2 weeks or less. I would try to call him, but his phone would always be off. This new girlfriend's controlling the situation. She told me his phone's broken. I would try to invite him through her for scans, but she would always say he was at work or they can't make it. Oh, scans on the baby. By the way, I never invited him, only him. You're being very nice to this new girlfriend, by the way. I would only pass a message through her because I thought he was genuinely a good person, and she would call me sis every time she called. Me and him would fight because I was upset about the situation. Of course you are. And thinking about it, she would always be mature.
Man, it's hard for me to follow my own video here. Bad story the way it was written, but it sounds like basically, this is not as uncommon as you think. She's pregnant. He has a new girlfriend. He's saying, look, if you want to live with us, we can make it work. Sounds like he wants his cake and eat it too. She's playing into that, which I don't know what all her other options are, right? So someone from the outside, I would never do that. Well, there's some people out there. This is the issue I have with a lot of the rhetoric right now on YouTube. Women are this, men are that. Single moms are this. Women that do this it's like, do you know this person's background of who they are and how they got there? So this woman might be pregnant right now and might not have a lot of options, right? She could be highly impressionable because of her background. There's a list that can go on here. But this guy's obviously created a situation where he's like, well, you can just move in with my girlfriend. How many women would just say, hell no, right? So I don't remember what the rest of the story went on, so let's check it out.
One to break the fight over the phone, so she would be the one that looked good, and I seemed like the needy, bitter ex. She was always around him. I got about over 2 months ago. We went off at each other. I called him names. We had a huge fight over me wanting to travel overseas to live with my dad. He said he would take me to court if I tried to leave while pregnant with his baby. Well, if you're going to do that, you need to find out legally what your rights are and do it in the right manner. If you're going to present that to him as a threat to get his attention, that's wrong. If your intentions really are to live a better life overseas with your father because you need to get away from where you're at currently, then you need to explain your exact reasons and that they're in the best intentions of your child, and get a lawyer to find out what your rights are. You don't just throw that out to someone. I told him I would call the cops and get an AVO on him. I don't know what AVO is. From there, he was just mad, never spoke to me again. This guy's erratic. He's not true to his word. You can't depend on anything. When the baby comes, you need to find a lawyer and find out the custody situation. And whenever I call, he hears my voice and just hangs up. His girlfriend would still call to check up on me, but I didn't understand why he never called to check up on me, because he's an asshole. He doesn't take responsibility. What I didn't like is when he said, he says, sorry, but I can't promise you anything. He's basically saying he doesn't even trust his own word, because he called once before all the fight and apologized about the way he spoke to me and even told me to eat well for the baby. Oh, that's really kind. I feel maybe I pushed him away. No, with the whole police situation and also other fights. I've stopped talking to his girlfriend because she made up a story about me dating one of her homeboys, and she even added that my ex isn't sure that the baby is his, but is going to take care of my baby regardless. I was really pissed off at that point. She immediately started to play the victim, making me look like the bad person. After I told her to stop making up such fake stories, mind you, my ex was right there. In the phone call, she said my ex is getting his act together before he contacts me, because me and him, this is the same story over and over again. He's getting his shit together. He's getting better. He's the same person. He's going to be the same person for a long time. He doesn't have his shit together. He's extremely selfish and is not to be depended on. Me and him are always fighting, and if you're always fighting, then you need to cut off ties of the relationship and only talk about civil matters about the baby that's coming. Asked her all the time if she's heard from him. I asked to speak to him, but she said he isn't around anymore. I told her not to contact me again, but she said she still called to check up on me. I haven't heard from her since. My friend, who's my ex's good friend, girlfriend, as well, I just had enough, so I just pulled away from everything, and I have not heard from them ever since. I've just been trying to forget about him and forget about the past. Well, you're not going to be able to forget about it. One thing that really helps with this, consider doing hypnotherapy, seeing a hypnotherapist if you live in a major city. Google hypnotherapy. If you're having a lot of trouble with your past and a lot of stuff with the mouse wheel again and again, sometimes they will be able to create a mantra that you can follow and reprogram some things. I've done it before and it really works well. It's been hard doing everything alone, but I'm pulling through everything. Good for you. That's a positive statement. You are. You're going to get through this, and you're going to get through it for your child. Maybe he just hates me. No, he doesn't hate you. He just doesn't have his shit together. This isn't the first time he's broken my heart. Well, don't let him do it again. He's cheated on me in the past and stayed with the girl for a couple of months and came back and begged me. Well, don't let him have the power to do that again. You're moving on. If you want to move overseas with your father because you think that's a good idea, consider moving overseas with your father, but do it in the right way and do it legally. And I took him back. Now he's gone again after everything. History repeats itself. People don't change. Zebras don't change their stripes, okay? I've blamed myself for a long time. Stop blaming yourself because I was pressuring him to get a job. Well, he should have a fucking job. I felt I didn't trust him anymore, so he broke up with me. I know I'm everywhere. I'm really sorry. There's just so much to say, and I'm still going through a lot at the moment. I've tried no contact. I haven't spoken to him in about 2 months. Whenever he hears my voice in the past, he would hang up. I didn't really plead this time around. I was more angry and mad at him, which pushed him away. If it pushed him away, fine. I've tried to focus on myself, but so much reminds me that I'm having this baby in less than 4 months. I try to escape from everything. He's blocked me off everything. He kept Snapchat open, but he randomly blocked me, unblocked me. I'm not sure if it's because... Block him. I'm not sure if it's her because she told me... you shouldn't be in contact with her if you don't trust her. Told me she's got his password. She's very manipulative. Sounds like it. I cut contacts with her off. Do you think he will come around at all? I hope not. I mean, what do you want from the guy? Do you want him to be the father of your child? Do you want him to be your boyfriend again? Do you want him just to show up sometimes? I don't think you guys can have a sound, good relationship at this point, and I don't think he's going to be what's best for you. And I think that at some point you need to leave the door open because you're having a child together, and he needs to make an effort, but you don't need to be the one to force him or push him into it. It should be his pleasure. It should be his responsibility, and he should know that. Stop hanging out with the new girlfriend because I don't think her intentions are good. And you got the right idea. Focus on yourself. Move forward. The number one thing is to have a healthy baby and treat yourself well right now. And if that means, being in contact with your father overseas, and create some kind of vision for the future for yourself as an individual. What do you really want to do with your life, career-wise, job-wise? Right now you're focused on having the baby, but what do you want to do moving forward? I have some questions that I'll send you that I send for people in a live coaching session. I'll send those over to you in an email after this. Do you think he will come back? I mean, it's not in your best interest if he does. He's not a good guy. He's not a good boyfriend. Do you think we have a chance on getting back together? Yeah, you have a chance of getting back together on his terms if it suits him, if that other girl breaks up with him, because it's always about him. They have been together since July. I want us to be a family, but I don't know how possible that is. At this point, that's not a good possibility. I'm afraid because it's been 4 months. I'm sorry for the...
All right. Hard for me to watch. The pace on that was a little fast. All right. So bottom line is, that was an old video. Like I said, I'd probably give a little bit different advice. Probably slow down my pace a little bit too. I would definitely encourage her to, and this is where when you get a story sent in, you can only get, it's a good start, but it's a big difference between doing a live coaching call where we can actually go down some rabbit holes and ask some questions. But I've had situations on the flip side where women, have had kids with men that were erratic, that weren't there from the get-go, and they try to make it work, right? They move in together, they do everything that they're thinking is right to make it work for the family. And the reality is the guy's a piece of shit. He doesn't want to be married. He doesn't want to be in he's got an alcohol problem. He's got a drug problem. He's got a cheating problem. He's got a job problem, whatever it is, right? Sometimes, and this might surprise some people, you're better off starting fresh and raising the kid the best you can on your own. And he needs to figure out what he needs to figure out in his own life. And if he's not going to be there from the get-go, if he's going to half-ass it or, give you, little breadcrumbs like you can move in with me and my new girlfriend, things like that, that's going to be one of those situations. Am I going to say that can never work? I mean, it depends on the situation. I have to ask some questions about that. Never say never. But here's the flip side. If you're already having a little grief over it, you still have feelings for him, you don't want polyamory, then don't do that, right? Your situation, though, when you're pregnant, like I said, you got more mood swings. You're probably going to be more sensitive. You got a lot on your mind. If the guy's kind of lackadaisical about it, you know, I'm seeing someone else, this, that, and the other, prepare yourself to go in on your own on this. It's not ideal, but raising the kid in a household where you're fighting and you're stressed out all the time. And the reason why I say this now, having more experience since I did that story a long time ago, is if you're in a situation a year or 2 years down the road where you just live with this guy because you have a kid together, it's actually almost worse, because that's a situation where you feel more stuck and dependent on the guy to maybe, you know, financially help out or be there. You're sharing rent on a place that you both signed the lease on, and all you can think of is you'd probably rather just do it on your own, because the guy, all you do is fight. Right? This guy's not even wanting to settle down with you. So if this was a situation now, I'd say, hey, look, he's not going to be a good dad at this point. He's got one leg in, one leg out. But I will say this. Some guys, I've known them before, once the baby comes out, it gets real. They can't imagine how they're going to feel, but it changes them. I've had guys tell me this before. It absolutely changed them to see the baby look like them, to hold the baby, and it changes them a little bit. That's a possibility, right? But it's not a guarantee. And that's why in the beginning of this video I said, or this live stream, I said, a really good thing to do is take inventory of the people you can lean on and that want to help you. It might not be a parent. It might not be your best friend. Your best friend might not be the person that's the best one to advise you on how to be a mom. They might just be one of those friends that likes to gossip, talk shit, and pour a little gasoline on a fire. But you might think of, oh, Aunt Vivian, man, she's the one I need to call because she's such a good mom. She's got good morals and values. And you're thinking, well, I haven't talked to her for a little while. No, call her up and go, look, I'm going through a really tough time right now. Call up some family member or colleague that had to raise a kid on their own. I'm not saying that this is going to eventually happen, but you need to prepare yourself from it rather than run from it. And it's not always the best situation just to be with someone in a half-ass way because it's the dad of your kid. And if he's using that to manipulate things to get his way, it's not going to help with the kid either. And so that's why I'm saying there's people that want to help you in situations like this. Right? I've had clients before that are like, I don't know who to turn to. I don't have a good relationship with my mom. I don't have a good relationship with my dad. I'm like, all right, well, is there anyone in your group of friends that if you left this situation, you got into, well, I do have one best friend, but I don't want to, but I haven't talked to her for a little while. We kind of fell out of touch, but she's the one. Call her. People don't realize this. It's an absolute privilege as a human being that when someone else is down and you have the ability to bring them up, it's a privilege. It's their progress is your progress and your progress is their progress. I'm not going to get into all this spiritual connection thing, but it's real. So this idea that you call your friend out of the blue that you haven't talked to for a little while and you're like, look, I'm pregnant right now. I don't know what to do. The bills are mounting. Things like that. Find the people that you want to lean on, that you want to go to, right? And if you're really having trouble with the relationship you have with this boyfriend, fiance, or husband prior to the kid is separate than your responsibility as a parent, which is going to be paramount, right? You can separate the two. I've had a client before where the guy's in jail. So not the ideal situation, but the guy has some cousins, a brother that's helping out, checking in, because he's obviously not got any money, right? She's waiting on him. That's her own choice. But the guy, think about it like this. The guy that's in jail, she actually doesn't have any kind of open loops in the story because it's not like the guy's not there by choice. He's in jail. She knows where he is. She knows when he gets out. And most likely when he gets out, he's going to make an effort because he's had a lot of time to think. There's no drugs or alcohol involved. Maybe some jails do. I don't know. But he's going to come out a changed man, hopefully, right? And make an effort. If she wants to wait, she wants to wait. But creating a tussle or a back and forth while you're pregnant is not good for your kid. It's been proven, there's science out there, that your kid feels your feelings when it's in the womb. And so creating a lot of negative situations, you know, like this one that I just reviewed just now, where the guy basically has got a new girlfriend, kind of on again, off again, and is accusing you of maybe not even being the real dad, which you know is true because that's the only guy you've been with, et cetera, et cetera. These are situations where you're going to have to start preparing and going, I can do this without him. It's not ideal, but it's also maybe even worse to go into a relationship that's going to be horrible, a lot of fighting when the kid's won, right? So I got another story on deck I'm going to unpack in a moment. I'm going to check in with the live stream right now really quick. We have 11 on deck. If you want to throw any money on the super chat, go for it. If you don't, fine, that's good. Rob IS, welcome, brand new Skinner. And I'd welcome anyone in the comments. Have you had anyone in your family that's had to raise a kid on their own out of a breakup, and how did that end up? Playlist 003, Rye Flint, how you doing? I'm May, Mexico's finest, Petty Betty, always on deck. All right, so we got the story. Let me pull this up real quick. Let me check in real quick. All right. So I met this guy on Tinder, I know. Well, we had an instant connection, or so I thought. We went on 3 dates. During the third, we were out in the woods, snow all over, in the tent cuddling and just talking. Sounds pretty romantic. He then tells me he has something to tell me. He says he's legally married, but they aren't together. I freaked out and was like, why wouldn't you tell me this online? All right, so really quick, I don't think this is that bad a thing if he can explain it. The fact that he's telling you it on the third date means he has some honesty to him. This isn't something that a guy would like to share if they're dating, right? If they aren't together, which from the outside in, you're like, oh, red flag, but there are people that are still legally married that aren't together. That's probably more common than you think, right? So I don't think that's outrageous. I think it's good that he mentioned it on the third date. A lot of guys would wait longer. I don't see that as a terrible thing from the get-go, but what transpires afterwards, I don't know. Because like I said, I haven't read this fully. I went home, told my sisters, who said, screw this guy. I told him I can't see him while he is legally married. Okay, so you put your boundary up. Like I said, this isn't all bad. He was honest, and it is possible to be legally married and not be with the person, okay? He proceeded to text me over a few days, and we met up. He said he is seeing someone else, he said she is seeing someone else, which she was, okay? We continued seeing one another. I know I am an idiot. I don't think you're an idiot. I think if he's telling you the truth, you can do what you want with the truth. So some people, I would never date someone legally married. Okay, that's a choice. The fact that he gave you the option to know the truth and then make the decision, there's some admirable qualities in that. That wasn't an easy thing for him to tell you. And if the ex, and you're not, I mean, it's one thing to be broken up, it's another thing to be legally divorced, right? But he was a great manipulator, and I was obviously insecure, and I thought I was worthless. Okay, so so the fact that you thought you were worthless, that's separate than this whole situation. We'd have to talk about that in a live coaching session and unpack that as a separate thing. I was obviously insecure. I don't think that you're insecure and worthless for dating a guy who's legally married, has told you that he isn't with that individual anymore, and the other individual seeing someone else. It's a choice to believe him or give him the benefit of the doubt. It's a choice that you've made, but that wouldn't make me think that you're insecure, you're an idiot, or you're worthless. No, because there's a possibility he really is done with that woman, but they haven't got divorced yet. After 4 months of seeing one another, we did shrooms and felt the immense connection and wanted to have a child. Okay, I don't know how or why, but we felt like we were supposed to have a kid together, so we were not safe with protection. Okay, that was a choice. All right, whether that's because of shrooms or whatever, you made that choice together. That's important that you mention that. A month before I found out I was pregnant, I loaned him $3,000 to help build a platform on his property and a yurt with a fireplace. Okay, so you loaned him $3,000 for a direct cause, right? For a yurt and a fireplace. I initiated that I want to help him with his dream and I'll loan him the money. We spent a month out there, built everything together. So you loaned him $3,000, but you were also counting on the fact that you were going to use the yurt and the fireplace with him. So it was a group project. Okay. Just so I'm following along. When we got back home, I took a pregnancy test a few days later and found out I was pregnant. When I called to tell him, he remained calm and was supportive. Only problem, when we first started hanging out, I told him I want to be with someone who drinks. Okay. He would drink a couple times a week. We ended up going camping. Let me just reread that because only problem, we started hanging out. I told him I don't want to be with someone who drinks. I thought I had to reread that. Excuse me. Okay. So probably had a bad situation with that in the past, or you don't drink alcohol yourself. Setting a boundary. This is actually a conversation you probably should have had before you thought about getting pregnant. If that's that big a deal. He would drink a couple times a week. We ended up going camping for his birthday. During this time, we went on a 5-mile hike, and he expressed to me how his legal wife ended up getting pregnant shortly before they broke up, and that she came to him and said that she thinks she wants an abortion, which he replied, all right, let's call some places. So to me, that's a red flag. Telling you that he was legally married, but they weren't together anymore, fine. Telling you that he got her pregnant. Wow. And then you get pregnant right after. This is just reckless behavior. She got an abortion. There was a huge red flag to me, which was he said that they went on a hike and she was throwing up and said she wants to go back to the car. He told her that she's too clumsy and might get eaten by a bear. So she continued to do the rest of the hike, even though she was in the first trimester. And that's normally one of the most difficult ones when it comes to sickness. Yeah, that's the story that doesn't go well with his character. After we finished hiking, he asked me if I would buy him a shot after. I already loaned him all that money, which I said no. And then he asked me to buy a bottle of liquor, and I said no. That moment, I knew I was over the relationship. All right, so, one of the morals of this is don't do shrooms and decide to have kids. You need to get to know him a little bit better. That being said, you have your boundaries about the alcohol thing. He woke up and asked me to get him some water because he drank a whole fifth of whiskey that he decided to buy after he asked me if I would buy it for him. And I said no to me buying it for him. So why would he ask you to buy it for him when you had money to buy it for himself? That's a red flag. Why would I just loan him so much money? I went and got him water. He drank it. And I told him we need to talk, to which I said, I can't do this anymore. I told you that I don't want to be with somebody who drinks, and I've warned you multiple times that I will leave you, and you continue to drink and even ask to buy you alcohol when you should know that makes me feel uncomfortable. All right, so this is a great statement by you. You think that, I want this, so he's just going to stop drinking. Okay, so that's not how alcoholism or people that drink work. Maybe you're like, well, he's not an alcoholic. He only drinks 2 times a week. All right, fine. I'm not going to debate that. I'm not the alcohol police. I always say that, right? Bottom line is you think that you're going to be able to tell a full-grown adult, and I'm just going to take a guess that this is a free spirit based on the fact that he's got a yurt and a fireplace on deck. Just because that's what you want doesn't mean it's going to happen, okay? So the idea of, well, I told him or else I'm going to leave, that's not a good premise to be in a relationship. So if alcohol is just a complete no-no for you, you just got to be non-negotiable about that in a relationship. If you don't have any wiggle room on that, where you're like, oh, sometimes you can drink a little bit. If you're like, no, then you have to be cognizant of that in the beginning of the relationship. He then proceeded to say it was his birthday, as if for some reason, because it's his birthday, that it makes some kind of difference. We separated. I started talking to somebody about a week and a half later. We broke up and realized it was a mistake to talk to someone else. When he asked me if I was talking to someone else, I said yes. He proceeded to say some pretty bad things. We didn't talk for about a week and a half, and then we both said how we missed each other and that it was a mistake. And then he then said, are you saying you want to get back together? Wow, this is confusing to read. I said, not right now. I said, I think we need to take some time to work on ourselves and then come back together down the line. So bottom line is, this is like a common let's just work on ourselves. I would prefer that you work on the specific items. So you don't work on not drinking. If that's a no-no in the relationship, you're not going to be able to be like, oh, just don't drink as much. Okay? Write out the specific problems that need to be fixed. This idea that you got to work on yourselves. What do you need to work on? You've mentioned earlier that you feel worthless. That has nothing to do with him. So you need to write out the things you want to work on as individuals and things that would help the relationship. But if this relationship's only been 4 or 5 months and it's been this bad in the beginning, it's probably not going to get a lot better anytime soon, because the interesting thing about working on yourself is that also takes time. You don't get results in a week. 2 days later, he texted me and says, I miss you. And then the next day he tells me that he's seeing someone else and that they're so understanding of this situation. LOL. Well, that just tells you about someone's character. If he's one of those guys that dates multiple women, that moves on, that moves forward, okay, so be it. Rubbing it in someone's face, extremely low character, extremely immature and impulsive. He's also telling you, you're hurting me, I miss you, and I want to hurt you. It's vindictive. And this is another red flag. He even asked if I would be okay with him taking a paternity test. Well, to be honest, if you guys were only together 3 or 4 months, you weren't together that long, I think he has a right to ask that. I know that might hurt your feelings and upset you, but if you have only been together, if you were together under 6 months and you don't know each other that well, that's what you're saying, unless I read this wrong. I think he has a right to ask that. Fast forward to now, he's made it to only one doctor's appointment, which he's been invited to every single one. He's tried to be close to me, but something has been making me feel off, and that feeling is that he's seeing someone else. And I don't think you're gonna be a long-term couple. Okay, this guy's borrowing money. You don't like alcohol drinking. He drinks a whole fifth of whiskey after a hike. This isn't gonna work. I would constantly call him about it, and he would just not respond. He came to my house about a week ago for a doctor's appointment. He comes in my house, looks around, lays on the bed, and says how nice it looks. We sit down, and all of a sudden, the back screen on his phone lights up, and it's a picture of a woman. I then proceeded to ask, okay, so you need to decide what you want here. You guys broke up before, you guys were already on the skirts of breaking up before you were pregnant, off and on. This isn't a guy that you just want to make your boyfriend again. If you want him to be a part of this kid's life, that's a separate thing. If you want him to be around for the baby, that's a separate thing. Making him a good boyfriend right now, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. He just doesn't sound very responsible or tuned in to mature life. I then proceeded to ask him how his girlfriend, that's his iPhone, feels about the situation, which he says she's very supportive and she's totally fine with him being in the room while I give birth, which I'm okay with that if he's in a relationship. He then tells me that they are in an open relationship and that he's allowed to do whatever he wants. Sorry, I just lost my space here. I then said that, I'm sorry, here. He then tells me that they're in an open relationship and he's allowed to do whatever he wants, especially with me. And they're not boyfriend and girlfriend. And then says he wants to be close to me. He wants to be there for the pregnancy. He wants to be around and be able to be involved. What do you want? I then said, there's no way that I'm going to be the other woman and have you come over here to be intimate with me and then go and be intimate with her. His exact words are, you're just so black and white. Well, there you go. So he wants freedom to come and go. Seems like I said, you said he's got a yurt and a fireplace in the wild. Very free spirit, doesn't follow rules, and you do. You're having a kid right now. You want more regulation. It's not going to happen with him. You want him to make an effort with the kid? That's a separate thing. You want him to be a partner? That's never going to happen. We went to the appointment, and I could tell that it had some sort of impact on him, but the impact at finding out that this girl that he had supposedly is an open relationship with is the same girl from the beginning of our breakup was a real emotional blow. I began to feel like this was my karma, which definitely could have been my karma for regardless of him and his legal wife weren't together. I should have never been seeing him. Shoulda, coulda, wouldas mean nothing. They're not going to help you, okay? Hindsight is 20/20. We all should have bought Bitcoin. There's a thousand things we all should have done. Okay? So right now you're in a situation, you're having a kid, put that first. Be a good mom, put that first. Put the health of your pregnancy. Being able to change this guy's ways, that's not going to happen. I should have never seen this. I should have never been seeing him. I should not have tried to have a child with him. I cannot sit here and say I regret my son. He is now trying to tell me that a certain friend of mine that is a guy that's been around me throughout almost the whole pregnancy is not allowed around our son, and that if he does come around our son, he's going to off him. All right, so then go to the police. Go to the police with that. That's one of those things you don't play with. Okay? Bottom line is, don't play around with that. File a report. It's very strange dynamic. It's very toxic. We cannot seem to get along. He blames me for being the reason why everything is the way it is. But I told him all I asked was, please respect my boundaries, that if you want to be close to me, if you want to be close to this pregnancy, and if you want to be there for the birth, don't be in an intimate relationship with another woman. You have a child on the way. He doesn't want to be in a relationship with you. Okay, so you're putting up all these rules. Maybe one day a week he might think that, but you set a relationship aside to be here for this part of the fatherhood. I then proceeded to say that he is sacrificing all of this for this girl, which he denies. But to me, that's how it seems. How it seems is not reality. I'm wondering, what do you think about this? I think you should prepare to be a single mom. I think interacting and entangling with this individual in his current state is going to put you in the same state. The guy is not committed to the situation. He's not very responsible, right? He has a right to see his kid when it's born, if that's his kid. You have a right to proceed with however you're going to deal with the finances, but making this your partner, being a family with this guy, no. So just stop trying to, I'm going to put up my boundaries. I'm not going to allow him to see someone else. Just focus on having your kid. You're going to most likely be a single parent. You're the more mature being here, it sounds like. Keep in mind all this shoulda, coulda, woulda. You divulged in the beginning that you had shrooms and you both decided you wanted to have a kid together. So you had a role in this. Now, the idea that you're going to get back together or something and he's going to change who he is ridiculous. I've told him I cannot continue talking to him. I don't even know why I've been entertaining somebody who has questioned whether they're son or not. Everything feels like a game. He'll say things to me like, you're such a strong woman. There's a reason why I decided to have a child with you, and it's because you're such a strong and caring woman. All right, well, right there, he said I decided. And just like I said, take responsibility that you actually said. Let me just go back to this. After 4 months of seeing one another, your words, and this is why it's really good to write your story out. Okay? After 4 months of seeing one another, we did shrooms and we felt immense connection and we wanted to have a child. Your words. I don't know how or why, but we felt like we were supposed to have a kid. Well, I know the how part together. So we were not safe with protection. All right. So when you get in this state, you both played a role in this. You were intentional in doing it. And now you're thinking, well, he's not doing his part. All right. You're going to have to double down and do yours. It's kind of like one of those things where you're like, if you ever worked a job and someone's not pulling their weight, but you're like, I still want to go home and just get the job done. Bad analogy, actually, for this. Bees on deck. You just heard that. It's a bad analogy, but you know what I mean. You're not going to... So, like, I've talked about, like, relationships aren't fair. Okay? So that's one of the biggest things. Like, oh, this isn't fair. This isn't fair. This isn't fair. Someone always gets a little bit, look at siblings. If you have multiple siblings, there's one that gets favored. Everyone always hates that kid or, whatever. Okay? So what I'm saying is right now you're like, this... Maybe you feel like I shouldn't have done this. This isn't fair. You took shrooms and you made a decision that you were going to have kids with him. And then he's also told me that he wishes he was having a child with anybody but me. All right. So I don't know. You haven't mentioned how old he is or how old you are. That's very immature. It's very hurtful. It's mean. It's spiteful. And it's that kind of rhetoric or action around a child. Like I said, just prepare to be a single mom. He has a right to see his kid. I don't know what the rules are where you live. I don't know exactly where that's at. But I would, instead of trying to change the situation with him, or as I'd say, like look at what an asshole he is who he is. And if he's going to change, it's not going to change this week. It'll take 6 months or a year. But it's not going to be you in the relationship you're in currently. I'd love to know other people's perception about this. Am I wrong for not letting him in the room while I give birth, even though I've made boundaries very clear? I'm not sure of the rules of that. I'm not sure if that's like a legal thing where you're at. If you feel like it'll affect you during the pregnancy, it certainly seems like a reasonable thing to ask if you have ill feelings towards him. Right? That's not going to help you during the pregnancy. I don't know the legalities of that. I know I've made mistakes here and I feel terrible about some things. I'm just so nervous to have a child with somebody like him. All right, well, I think people are nervous of having a child when they're rich and famous. So I'm not going to say that this is just the case just for you. So those nerves are one of those things. This is an important time in your life. This is a turning point, and this is a time for, instead of pointing the finger at him and all these things he's doing wrong, this is a time for you to go, you know what? I'm not going to be the irresponsible one. I'm going to take care of this kid. I'm going to do the best thing I can do. And I actually had intention to have this kid. He seems like a narcissist. He seems to be very self-absorbed, just goes from one woman to the next, disposing of each one like they mean nothing to him. All right, that could be true. It could not be true, but it's not going to take away the fact that you're about to have a child, and you need to put that first and foremost. And you played a role in that decision, right? This was something that you condoned having. Now, the fact that he's a narcissist or self-absorbed, possible. That's all the more reason to not raise your kid around him and let him go. Whatever legal responsibilities he has towards the kid, that's for you to talk to a lawyer about. I guess he's had discussions with women that he's been seeing about our son and them meeting, which feels awkward to me because to me, this woman he has been sleeping with the father of my child throughout almost the entirety of my pregnancy, which is 7 months. All right, you guys have broke up on again, off again. This is not like you've been together 5 or 10 years. This was not a well-planned pregnancy, okay? If you're going to get some clarity moving forward, take the accountability for that sentence I read. We did shrooms, and we decided we wanted to have a kid together, okay? Now here's the consequences. You didn't really spend a lot of time with this guy. You were in an altered state when you decided to have a kid. Not a smart move. But here's the thing. Blessing in disguise. When you have that kid, things will change. You'll probably be very thankful that you have him. But this guy's not going to be on deck at this point. He's not going to change his ways for you. And I've never met her or anything. And when I asked to meet her, he doesn't want us to meet. And I'm wondering if that's because he's keeping things from her. He told me she is somebody anybody should be honored to have her around their child. I proceeded to say, maybe y'all need to have your own child together, then cause this is just too weird and awkward for me. Okay, here's the news flash. You're not going to change this guy's ways. You're not going to be okay with him seeing someone else, right? You're going to have the kid. Be the best mom you can possibly be. And start leaning on the people in your friends, family, and colleagues that you can rely on, that want to help you. I'm sure there are some people in your circle that want to help you. Rely on them. Be with them. Lean on them. Seek advice from them. Going around telling everyone he's a narcissist isn't going to help things. He is what he is. If he has someone else, let him go. I guess I question myself all the time is what I think is that I say wrong. I say wrong. Am I wrong for thinking this way? No. Oh, I also used to work for a law firm and he still has not filed for divorce after over a year and is still legally married. Has me pregnant. Okay, I'm just going to remind you one more time for the people in the cheap seats. Okay? This is great that you wrote this out. After 4 months of seeing one another, we did shrooms and felt an immense connection and wanted to have a child. I don't know how or why. I know how. I do. But we felt like we were supposed to have a kid together. So we were not safe with protection. Keyword we. So when you get to this thing, still legally married, has me pregnant. It took 2 on this one, hun. Right? And is in a relationship with another woman. Okay? So just accept the fact that you were part of the deal when you did the shrooms. He also has not paid me back anything from the money I loaned him. He makes excuses why he shouldn't have to. All right, well, here's the thing. 4 months in, you made this deep connection. The guy has constantly proved to you through actions and words that he's irresponsible. He's not considerate. He's not a kind person. He's highly selfish. Like I said, I still don't know how old he is. I'm guessing early to mid-20s. He could change over time. He could have an epiphany. He could become religious. Right? There's all kinds of things that could happen. Right now, he's not going to be your boyfriend. He's not going to be your partner. He's definitely not going to be your husband. That would be a bad move. That would make things even worse. Right? So accept the fact that you're going to bring this kid in on your own, and then legally, whatever assistance you need and at whatever visitation rights you want to do, hash that out with the lawyer you used to work with. Right? On the flip side, this $3,000 that you loaned him, it's probably dust. Chalk it up. Loans that you give to friends, family, and colleagues, boyfriends, girlfriends, people you're dating, there's a possibility they won't pay you back. They got a loan because they don't have money. Now, people that pay you back, you know it. When you loan them money, you're like, I know Mac's going to pay me back because I know Mac's got money coming in. I know Mac's the type of person that he's going to pay me back. There's people that you loan money to and you're just not sure. You're just not sure. You're like, I don't know when they're going to get a job. They're kind of irresponsible. This is one of them. I got to a point where I told him, screw the money. You can keep it. It's already tainted at this point. Good move. A month after we broke up, he took the girl that he is seeing now out to the yurt. And did you know what? With her, I felt like such a slap in the face. He told me he was going out and get it prepared for an Airbnb. He texted me after the weekend's over telling me about something he saw out there. I then told him, I'm glad you all had a good time. He said, how did you know I had somebody out there? I said, you don't need to tell me. I can just feel it. I can feel that you took a woman out there, which he didn't deny, and it was true. You're not together right now. I mean, this wouldn't even be an issue if you weren't pregnant. You're not together right now. I believe she does not know the entirety of what's happening. I believe that he's manipulating her and possibly gaslighting her. That has no interest or effect on your responsibility of having a kid right now. Okay, I know you're like, well, he's got to be on board. He's not going to anytime soon. You've got to be the adult in this situation. You got to be the bigger person. He didn't even tell me about her and them being together until I saw a picture of her on his phone, which he was real nervous when I saw that picture. A part of me wonders if he would ever even told me about her, and if he's lying about them being in an open relationship, and that's why he does not want me and her to meet and talk. I don't think you want to meet and talk with her. I don't think you want to have a relationship with her. I think you need to release any kind of idea that this guy's going to be a better person. He's going to be honest. He's going to be someone that is different than anything he's shown you so far. Is this someone you want around your child? Today I told him I cannot do this anymore. I cannot continue talking. Every time we end up fighting. It's just toxic. I then said, I don't even know why I'm entertaining somebody who's questioning the legitimacy of this even being their child. And then I said goodbye. Wow. Well, that sounds like a good start. That sounds like a really good start for you to move forward and move on, because this isn't going to be a relationship. You know, you guys aren't going to be a sitcom. That's for sure. I mean, this isn't going to be one of those situations that's going to work out in the end. But this is exactly why it's really good to write out your story, because in those first 5 sentences you mentioned that you both, while doing shrooms, decided that you want to have a kid together and not use protection. So what happens is, and I've never been in that situation. I have done shrooms before, but I haven't done them in a long, long time, and I haven't thought, oh, it's a good time to decide to have a kid with someone. But you divulged that you were a part of this situation, and now this is the situation. But here's the thing, and I've heard this from many people. Once the kid comes out, things change. Responsibilities change. Love changes, and you probably won't regret it. The idea that you're going to somehow change a full-grown adult already in his ways and the way he's been acting, it's not going to happen. He might come around eventually. The idea of what he's doing with his new girlfriend, you're not together. Right? It's unfortunate. It's quote-unquote not right. But this wasn't well planned on your end either. And this might be a turning point for you, because it sounds like you're the responsible person in the room. Now prepare for it. Let me check into the... You came in a little late on that. B just walked in.
I did.
Serious situation here.
Very serious. Very serious.
You're a little surprised by all that?
Yeah, it was a lot of drama there.
All right, let's see what we have here in the chat real quick. Every woman when being pregnant can be left in some way. Man dies too. They don't only leave. Oh, Rob says, it was the shrooms. Irresponsible on another level here. There was a logical choice prior to incapacitated vibe, and the shrooms put her in. People don't have social intelligence. She loaned him money. Here's the bottom line out of all this stuff, right? There's going to be a kid involved in this. And she still has the opportunity to be a really good parent and do the best she can as an individual. She's not going to be able to change this guy. All jokes aside from the shrooms thing. And I didn't make a big joke out of that. That's like, someone can have a psychedelic experience.
Sure.
I haven't had one of those and have a moment. But any decision we make, right? It's been storming like hell here, right?
Yeah.
Here we're at in Phuket. Bad storms. You know, it's like a small decision you don't think about. It's like monsoon type rain. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that kind of rain in a movie or something like that. There's a decision when you need to leave the house and you go, all right, do I want to just wait? Because I could get in a car accident, more probable. Do I want to be more careful? That's a decision, right? I just did it yesterday, like last night. I was like, I'm not going to go to yoga tonight because it's raining so hard off and on. It's just better to not take that chance, right? I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just saying the probability's higher. So you just have to be cognizant of there's always a risk to reward, and making that decision, you were very honest in the beginning. And now when you get these shoulda, coulda, wouldas, I've had a client that always comes to mind. She had a horrible relationship with this guy that was a total jerk, manipulator, narcissist. You could throw everything at the wall. This guy was a piece of shit. The story she sent me. I mean, animal abuse, He beat up the dogs.
Really?
Yeah. Like she said that. He was a drug and alcoholic. He was a drug addict and alcoholic. He took all her money. She had a really good job. She ended up having to lose her job because, I mean, it was just a bad story. I mean, it was one of those things that had me take a deep breath after reading it, right? Mm-hmm. She had a kid with him. All right. I still, she's actually on my Instagram. This was years back. She sent me this story, and she got out of that relationship, and she had sent me this story when she was really in a helpless, bad moment. And I said, you got to lean on someone outside this guy. See, what the problem is, this is the real problem. There's people out there that want to help, that are good people. They might not even be your best friend right now, but there's someone out there that you can take inventory. Like, you know what? Right now, I really need to talk to so-and-so. And that's the person you need to go to, not whistleblowing. This guy's a piece of shit. Like, how am I going to get through with this pregnancy right now I got on deck? I'm going to take care of this kid. This guy's not going to be a good dad. He's not going to be around. So what's my options here? Right? Like I said, I gave that woman that advice. This friend that she had, she goes, I do have one friend, but I don't want to talk to my parents. She reached out to that friend. That friend let her stay with her for 6 months to get away from this guy. She ended up going back to her home country. She's doing great now. She's always in pictures with her son on Instagram, and I've never heard her complain about it. She got away from it. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because the idea that this guy's with another woman, this guy's not being a dad, he's not going to be around, it might be a good thing. It might be a good thing. It's even worse if you have a relationship with this guy who has no money, no responsibility, is a jerk, and you raise your kid around that guy. So if he, as hard as it sounds, if he doesn't want to be a part of it, and if he wants to play these games, go, no problem, I'm going to take care of the kid. We'll do visitation, we'll do this, we'll do that. All right? If that doesn't work and you need to move somewhere new and get a fresh start, go ahead and do it. Do what's best for your child. Stop trying to change the situation or change the dynamic with him. You are a part in this decision making. So you need to take responsibility for it also. And who knows, maybe when you have that psychedelic experience, you're gonna have a prince of a child. Right? And you're gonna play a role in that. And when the kid's 18, 20, 25 years old, you're going to go, oh, I could have never saw this differently. This is the best thing that ever happened to my life. And it has nothing to do with him being a jerk right now. Does that make sense? That's a totally different narrative, totally different way to look at it. I'm glad she wrote to you, Mac. Telling stories helps. Well, thank you. Her options are don't make the same mistake twice. Kind of surprised the new girlfriend is down with the whole existing situation that will likely change soon, and there will be a third and fourth girlfriend that would come and go. Who knows? Who knows? From the outside in, people look at it and they go, oh man, this person's, friends and family that have had kids that weren't planned, it ends up working out. I've never known someone that ends up on a street or I'm sure it happens. But usually people get extremely resourceful when they have a kid. Yeah. He's like,
yeah,
right, and it pushes them to be more responsible and be better. If they're not up for that, but you are, and you're the one parent that is, well, then that's extremely admirable on your case. You're the person in the movie everyone's rooting for, right? And so you think to yourself, oh, this isn't fair. Oh, this isn't fair. I'm going to tell everyone. But I'm going to be dead honest. Most people don't care that much because most people from the outside don't see it from your shoes and they go, oh, well, you just made a bad move. Ha, ha, ha. I don't see it that way. Right? I've had family members that had kids young and that weren't planned, and it was a blessing. I'm glad those are my family members. I'm glad that she had those kids. Right? Extremely glad. And right now you're just going through it and you're seeing all this negative stuff. But just focus on having a healthy pregnancy and finding some other people that you can lean on outside of him and get your other stuff lined up and just anticipate you might have to go at this alone for a little while. You're not going to change the situation or change him. All right. Running out of breath there. Any thoughts on that, B?
That was just heavy. I mean, there was a lot of drama there. That's crazy.
This is an amazing, like, and I just want to give this woman credit for sharing that story, because a lot of people are like, oh, what? The shroom thing, the yurt thing? Someone's like, what's a yurt? Yurt's like a big tent.
That's like a tent that you live in, right?
Yeah, they're
It's not
popular
like,
now, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, this is how it happens sometimes. It's like, what?
Right.
What?
Right.
Psychedelic experience? I'm sure it's happened more than once.
I'm sure it has.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, man. I had my exercise workout this morning. I'm tired. All right, 10 on deck. Does anyone have any questions or comments to add to this? Was a good story, probably more common than people think. You know what? Yeah.
Probably.
It's like, we were doing that review yesterday about the whole pearly things or whatever. And that, like, later on, I'll think about some of the things we talk in the live stream or something like that. And I just thought, I came back to that situation where she's like, all these single moms that hook up with the chads, and then they end up being single moms, and the government takes care of them, and then I was just like, what? Did you understand what I mean? I just challenge everyone on the chat right now. Think about anyone that's your friend, family, or colleague, or someone you've known over the years that had had a kid. Like, what was their real story? Did you at least have some compassion for them? Or are they all just like, oh, they all ended up with chads and they made bad decisions? Like,
the government supports them and whatever,
the narrative behind that, and everyone's like, yeah, thanks for telling the truth. Thanks for speaking facts. It's sick. Is it possible? Yeah.
Sure.
Is that a possible storyline for a single mom that hooked up with the high school quarterback? I'm going to say that instead of calling him Chad or Tyrone, which I still like that whole narrative. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean by that, right? It's like, oh, she ended she ended up with the valedictorian or the, whatever.
Right.
Okay, and the guy didn't stay with her because he had so many other options. Okay, is that a possibility out of single moms? Yeah, but is it a primary thing that happens to all single moms? That's fucking stupid. It bugs me because it just releases all compassion and empathy for a situation, right? Someone's like, you're up for like single moms, it's their fault. Like, how many situations are not actually all their fault?
Right.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's highly ignorant. It's like we could just get 100 single moms and have them tell her story, and someone's like, yeah, she did it to herself. It's like, yeah, dude, what if, like, how many people have grown up with single parents and that's who you're talking shit about? That's the thing. It's like you're creating this narrative that this was all from this red pill movement where these women are they're going to end up alone with cats. This is a big narrative too. You've heard this?
Being the cat lady?
Yeah. Which is, it's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. I mean, it's just one possibility. Oh yeah, just like earlier today, someone was saying, like, in America, here's the crazy thing when people, especially that pearly white things or whatever it is, they're like, I think it's more common in America. I'm going to pull it up in a minute. Person's never lived in America. America's 50 states. It's fucking huge.
Highly diverse.
So when you just generalize, in America they do this. Really? Live in like 5 different cities in America, and you're going to see that, like, the culture in America is not just, that's American culture. No, not really. It's so idiotic, man. I'd love if the guy left, it's a win-win situation for me. Either way, I will raise my kids on my own. Well, they're good for you, Eve.
Yeah.
I'm saying that you can get intent when you have people that are manipulative, narcissistic, selfish, the list goes on, right? The best thing you do is disentangle from them. The minute you get disentangled from them, it's like a dolphin in a tuna net.
And that could be hard too.
Well, yeah, because what people do is they go on YouTube and they go, now I figured it out. They're a narcissist.
Right.
And then they go, hold on, let me blow my whistle and tell everyone I know I've been with a narcissist. I've been victim. And everyone goes, oh, yeah. And everyone goes, okay. Because you know what? They're not affected by it. You know what they're doing? They're going, wow, you're pretty stupid. Why you hang out with these people? Right? And you're like, they're a narcissist. It's like, well, people encounter them every day,
Yeah.
right? And you going around and having your narcissist detection suit on is ridiculous. You just find more of them because you'll feel important and special. I mean, stuff like that to me, it's like I hear about it, I'm like, huh, all right, that person's like that. All right, I had a couple of curious ones that I wanted to review just randomly. So we got 9 on deck, you guys. Abusive partners should never be tolerated. Absolutely.
Yeah. Never.
I would just add though, there's certain circumstances where you want to make it work, and there's when you're in a relationship, and then from the outside everyone goes, "Oh, that's ridiculous. I would never take that." Yeah, are your feelings involved? Are you actually with someone for that long? It's not that easy. But when you start going around whistleblowing and telling your sister, your brother, and everyone around you, they don't care that much. They don't care as much as you think. Some do, but a lot of them are like, "Oh, that sucks."
And then on to the next.
Just leave them.
Yeah.
Right? All right, so this one said modern women and their self-rating is mind-blowing. So this is just a clip from that. But this is just getting me recently how many people do this thing where they rate themselves on numbers.
Oh, like the thing we were doing.
And it was just hilarious. I was looking at the live stream yesterday, and when I asked you that question, like, what do you think she is? And you're like, I don't know. Like, you didn't want to rate her?
No.
And people take it, the funny thing is they take it real serious. Like this woman thinks she's a 10 and she's a 5. It's like, oh, opinion on opinion. Who's going to win that?
Right.
Oh no, that's facts. No, it's not. Oh, it's facts. She's average. No, it's not. It's just an opinion, right? I'm going to
Yeah,
be
right.
as a gentleman.
That's right. I'm a gentleman.
Well, wolf in sheep's clothing is what I would call him. All right. Let's see. Let's check this out real quick. Modern women, their self-rating system is mind-blowing. Let's see here. And we have a crying woman. All right, perfect, man. This is great content. Keep crying.
Oh, this is from the same channel.
Yeah,
Okay.
It came up on my feed this morning. I just took a look at it. I'm like, you know what? Let's unpack this a little bit. You guys like these reviews? Let me know.
So I'm interested because it's quite interesting that upsets you. Because that's why I asked you. Well, I'm glad you clarified, because at the beginning you said you feel sorry for her, then you said you felt sorry for men, because off the bat of that, I feel sorry for men. Because, I mean, right. Remember I said before we even watched it, I knew what the woman looked like? And I think we can all categorically agree, without being harsh, that is a bang average looking lady. So that's the problem. You're a bang average looking lady with I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. And I think she listed one thing that she offers. She made 30 grand over the weekend. You told her men don't care about money. She then went on to say, but it's what I care about. But it's what she has nothing to, all she has is a list of requirements, and she can't even offer the first thing that men appreciate, which is what she looks like.
All right, so he was saying that she's a bang average woman. I didn't get to see who the woman is. That's okay. But he's saying that the woman mentioned she made 30 grand in a weekend. That's what she cares about. There's some guys that would care about that.
Sure.
There's some guys that would care about that, and they'd probably use her for that reason or find that highly attractive. The fact that she's bang average, I didn't see what she looks like. Like I said, I've been shocked, and this happens to me as a coach a lot. I've told B this before. Some guys will be like, oh, this is my ex. She's absolutely gorgeous. I don't find her attractive at all, right? I don't sit there and like, oh my God, but I don't care. Now, this whole thing, like say you pull up someone from one of these dating apps and they're bang average, whatever that means, right? She's just average, but she thinks she's more than she is. This is a big narrative right now. I don't care. I don't find it to affect me at all. I find it kind of funny. Like, wow, good. Or you know what I do? I go with it. Good for you, hon. You made 30 grand this month and you're 10. Wow. You believe that? Good for you. That's outstanding. Right? Go with it.
Right.
Go with it. But how is it? Is it someone I'm going to contact on a dating app or something? No, but I'm not going to sit and go, I have a real problem. This is a real problem in America right now. It's like, let's make it a problem of the world right now, and let's cry over it and feel sorry for all men because some woman has a dating app profile where she thinks she's a fucking 10 and she's a 5 because of you, and that's a problem for men. I feel really like, think about these drama narratives that are going on right now.
Yeah.
Think about it. Right? It's like, I feel like, hold on, man. It's like, I feel sorry for men right now, and the fact that you're crying. It's like, what? Some woman thinks she's more than she is. Some guy thinks he's more than he is.
Happens all the time.
How many times have you seen it in sports?
Yeah.
Right?
Where they think they should be getting paid.
There's basketball players where I'm like, God, this guy just thinks he's the shit, dude, and he's like a bench warmer.
Right.
And everyone's going like, you know what? He's still playing ball, whatever. But I mean, on the flip side, I'm like, God, he thinks, Doc Rivers' son. What's that guy's name? Austin Rivers. He's a great example.
Yeah. I mean, he's in the league. He's good.
His dad gave him a $30 million. His dad was the coach in the NBA, right? He's good. He can play, but he walks around
like he's the
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Dude, he walks around like, he's Michael Jordan reincarnated, right? And in my head, I'm like, all right, whatever. It's kind of funny, but like, I feel sorry for men right now. It's like, really? Go to the next one. They're all like this. No, they're not.
Which to me, I know beauty's an eye of the beholder, but that's a bang average looking lady. I don't know what you think. You can be honest.
No, it's facts. No,
yeah, she's bang average. So if she was a very incredibly pretty lady, at least it adds some sort of substance. At least it adds some sort of, level where you can say, all right, cool. She's in the top 10% of ladies in the world. She's asking for these requirements, but at least off the bat, she's pretty. But to give all of those requirements and to be, oh God,
honestly,
shocking.
I think the fact that, she felt like she could say that and like felt like she had ground to stand on is crazy. Like the fact that, you can, she feels like she's like, she can expect that. And she was saying stuff like, you get like the minimum expectation. I think it was something along those lines, right? No, you get to have cats and probably die alone. And I have no like ill intent towards this woman, but seriously, if you are acting like that, anyone who's got that money is not going to spend that money in that way because it's dumb. It doesn't make sense. And the fact that she felt comfortable to say that in public is just like...
Okay, so I don't know what specifically was said, but the basics of it is there's a woman that's overrated herself online, asked for too much, put in the profile that she wants, this, that, and the other. Okay. But here's the thing. Some guy will date her. Some guy will find her attractive.
Right.
Have you had a situation, I know B's going to be nice here, he's going to be, like, I don't know, maybe. You don't have to say names or anything, right? But like, have you had a friend, family, or colleague before, and they're like head over heels, or they're like really excited about a girl they're dating? You meet the girl, or you see a picture, and you're like, oh,
yeah, definitely that's happened,
right?
Definitely.
Or you're like, oh, that's who your girlfriend is. Like in your head, you wouldn't say it because you're really nice. Right? But he likes her. He thinks she's beautiful. Like these guys actually think that their rating system, this is what people do online now, that your 1 to 10 applies to every human being.
Yeah. No, but like what we've been talking about, it's up to you. Like it's.
But what you're attracted, like when he's like, let's just be honest, she's a bang average woman. She's a bang average woman. To you, I don't know. I don't know. When you put yourself out there in an app, you're putting yourself in a catalog, and you're like, oh, that's facts. It's not facts. It's not facts. If we sat around and you're like, yeah, I think she's average. I think she's average. she's not average. I think from my scale of what is attractive or not attractive, I'm shocked by what some guys think is attractive. I'm sure they're shocked by what I think is attractive. Right? But this guy sitting here, the elephant in the room is like, hey, dude, what do you rate yourself? You own any cats yourself, or do you know what I mean? Because I've had dealing with different clients in different scenarios. I've known guys that end up with that woman I'm thinking of one right now that was rich, insanely, I forgot what he used the word. She was, obsessively overconfident. He used a different word for it, like deranged.
Deranged?
Yeah, derangedly confident in her, like how great she is and all this stuff. That's actually a shield for insecurity, right? When we got to talking about it, it got deeper. But she was rich. He was hooking up with her. He was excited about being with her. See, what's interesting is it's like with relationships, there's a puzzle. There's some people that just hook up with anything in a pulse, right? Oh yeah, it's a numbers game. It's this. But sometimes it's like a puzzle piece. Well, you make up for my insecurities, I make up for yours, or I don't make a lot of money, but you do. There's some things where...
Right, there's give and take, and yeah.
Yeah, and that's how and it's not just like, oh, she's a 6. It's like, well, there's some other moving parts to this. It's not, oh, facts. No, it's not facts, dude. It's your opinion. This is the, again and again, right?
What has it come to? You know what I mean? What is going on?
But that is more common than you think as well, by the way. That might seem extreme, but it's actually not. A lot of women think that's what they desire.
I deserve this by existing. It's like...
How common would you say that is?
I think more in America that's common in the UK.
You think it's more common in America?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's uncommon here, though. I wouldn't say it's uncommon here.
I think they vocalize it more in America.
They definitely vocalize it more.
Which I appreciate in a way, because at least they're honest about it. But yeah, in the UK...
Do you think that's honesty?
Have you lived in America? Or where's this coming from? There's 370 million people there, so 50 states, some major cities. Could be true.
Some major cities.
And what's more common mean? 50%. Like, this is what people do. 50% of the 70% of the population. I would say that. Let me just put this label on it. Pretentious women. Let's just call pretentious, selfish. What's the other word? What else can we throw in the pot? Pretentious, selfish, self-absorbed. Okay, I think that's what they're kind of talking about, right? To me, it's like, how much percentage of human beings are even like that? Oh, that in America, that's really common. What's common? Like when you go, we both go back to the States. I go to California, you go to Arizona, 2 different places, right? How many times do you identify that in a human, let alone women? Where you're like, oh my God, she's so pretentious, right?
Probably never.
She's so self-absorbed. She wants way too much.
Yeah, probably never.
Where do I see it? On channels like this. And they get them on camera and they're like, look at all these people in America, like Fresh and Fit or something, right? That's where you see it.
Yeah.
You see it on TV. And here's the ironic thing, dude. Living abroad for a long time, people will be like, I've told you this one before. Oh, you guys, some guy that was Swedish one time, he's like, wow, you in America, you guys throw people in jail for parking tickets. And I was like, what?
He said that?
Yeah, he was like, oh, like, he had all this down talk about America. And I'm like, I'm like, they put people in jail for parking tickets, but like, you'd have to have 50 tickets or something, and you didn't pay them. But, and I'm like, he's like, oh, I'm like, where do you get that from? He's like, Cops.
The show?
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of it's like TV or YouTube oriented.
Right.
It's not, oh, that's facts.
Facts.
Why? Because you saw a fucking TV show? It's true on a small level, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're out there, but
it's jaded, man. Why do I talk about this? I'm just saying that the thing about this is what people don't realize. The more you watch something like this, the more you'll find it true. The more you'll look for it because your subconscious mind wants to be true. So you'll be like, oh, there's another one of these. Right. Let me complain. Let me call the ambulance. Let me do a TV show about it. But we got people like here, like dramifying. Someone was crying about the situation. He's like, I feel sorry for men right now. It's like, what? Why would you feel sorry for all men? All right.
Or delusion.
A mixture of both, to be honest. I think she's delusionally honest.
She's being honest about how deluded she is.
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know.
Factual.
That's how I see it anyway.
Yeah, because it lets the men know who to avoid.
Exactly.
100%.
What if a woman comes to you, this is for everybody, what if a woman comes to you and says that, and you tell her you're delusional, and she's like, well, I don't want to lower my standards to be able to get some random guy. I'm going to keep my standards like this. What would you guys say to her?
I'm going to answer this one, B. Maybe you should go first. I'm going to answer this one, though. What if you get a woman that's, right? I think what they're saying, because we didn't get to see the first part of this, right. But a woman that's...
overvalues, whatever.
Well, whatever. It's pretentious, over the top. I want a guy that makes 6 figures. Right. I want a guy that's 6'5", all these fucking random
they're saying
things.
that she's like an average.
She's not that tight, right? Yeah, okay. All right. Mm-hmm. If I meet a woman like that and she tells me that, I'd go, good for you, hon. Mm-hmm. Good for you. Mm-hmm. I think that's outstanding. I think, you know what? I think confidence is a good thing. Believe in yourself. Mm-hmm. Oh, I believe in myself. Good for you. That's what I would say. Good for you. And then I would probably, if we were in a public scene, I'd probably grab my drink and walk away. I wouldn't care to like carry on. But what would you, I mean?
Yeah.
These people are acting like, I would tell her she's delusional. What? I don't even believe you'd do that.
Yeah.
Because what that says is that you're intimidated by her confidence, by her wanting so much. I've learned that, like, actually, when I was younger, I would be like, oh, this person's crazy for wanting more or doing more. It's like you wanting to be a pro golfer or something. It's like someone will be like, sure you can do that? Sure you can do that? That's a lot to do. It's like, you got to do this, this, and this. It's like, now in my life, dude, now where I'm at, I'm like, good for you, man. Fucking go for it. I hope you get there. It's like, I hope you get that guy. Totally different outlook. And it's like sitting back. Yeah, that's facts. She's going to end up alone with cats. What's that say about you? Right? It could, like I said, I could agree. I'm like, in the back of my head, I could agree and go, wow, she's a bit ahead of herself. But I'd go, like I said, good for you. I'm so happy you have that kind of confidence.
Right?
Mm-hmm. But everyone's become the judge. She's delusional right now. Would you tell her that? What would you say, though? This girl's like, I only date guys that have Ferraris. I only date guys that make 6 figures, this, that, and the other. What would you say to her, B?
I wouldn't say anything. I would do exactly what you would do and say, that's great. And not worry about it.
Yeah, I could just see you like nodding your head like, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, right on.
Like, I'm going to go out there and like be confrontational.
Would you pull me to the side and be like, dude, she's delusional. Look at her. She's average. Look at her. She's average, Mac. She's average and she's talking this way.
No, I would not do that.
Right? She's bang on average and she's actually telling people that she wants a rich guy. Give me a break. Come on, man.
I honestly wouldn't care, to be honest. Like, I would not care. I would just be like, that's great.
Oh my goodness.
I'm very much, I say it how it is. I don't really cut out, the rough parts. I just I don't beat around the bush. I'm just direct to it. I just tell her straight up, like, if you're expecting this, then you're not going to get far with what you want. And you need to reevaluate and reassess everything. If you think to this extreme, and also, like, say, the example I gave earlier, like the single mother, obviously I'm not going to be, like, too harsh because she's got, at the end of the day, she's got a kid to look after. But, like, you got to tell them, like, you need to humble yourself, you can't go around expecting all this while, like, you're burdening the man on the other side of the coin.
Well, it's kind of like if you're a used car and you're asking new prices, you can say that, like, no one, the the only buyers that are going to come are the ones that can afford.
What I'd say to that.
To the.
Well, she's
used
like,
car
oh,
thing.
you're like a used car that's overpriced. Well, the market will speak. But here's the incredible thing about the market for men and women. You'd be surprised. I've met women that are friendly. That's the trump card. You know what I mean too. That are friendly, that are promiscuous, that aren't, closed body language, or anything like that. They have good eye contact. They're sweet.
Sure.
Right? There's skills that aren't seen outside of the bedroom. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what's getting lost in this too. It's like, oh, look at how she looks. Well, if she's a good manipulator, talker, or man and women relationships are based a lot on intimacy. That's an elephant in the room, right? That's like.
But they're just speaking on looks here, right? Is that what they're talking about?
What I'm saying though is what it sounds like to me is like this woman doesn't have a chance getting a guy because she has average looks.
She's average.
So let's just say she has average looks to bad looks, but she wants a rich guy. She's bragging about how great she is, but she's not that great because she doesn't look that good. My thing is like, as the great Transformer said, there's more than meets the eye. Right? Like, actually, if I was going to make a judgment on this, it'd be like, there's guys I know that have that have been good with women, and I don't know if I'm going to use the fucking term high value, but like when I was in college or stuff like that, like they got a lot of girls, right?
Sure,
they did well with women, right? And they ended up with like the girlfriend they ended up with, not the best. But you know what they'd always say? Oh, dude, something that I didn't see while she was, dressed in front of me.
They had great intimacy.
Or she does something else, or takes care of them, cooks well. There's all kinds of other things. This idea, like, wow, she's just bang on average and she wants a lot. I'll tell you what, the woman or the man that increase their standards, yeah, some of them can get humbled, but if they stuck with it, they'll get it. Like if you set your mind to it, B, you can get a rich woman. You just got stuck. It's
Well,
like
the way you looked.
Yeah. Like if you set your mind to it, think about it. This is what gets lost, right? Set your mind to it.
Yeah.
If you set your mind to it, you're like, you know what? I just want a rich woman, right? And and everyone's like, dude, you're not going to get a rich woman. You're so average, and you're like, no. And you did everything that you could to get into that space, and you were like, no, I'm going to get. And everyone's like, you're not going to get a rich woman. You started playing, at the polo fields and hanging out at fucking places where rich people hang out, whatever. And you snag one. Oh, cooks well, count, nice. I mean, I'm just saying, people value different things. Yeah. This is when they have these talks. It's funny because. What I see in you, I see in me. They're being extremely shallow and surface-based, but they're accusing other people of the same thing. But hey, you need to humble yourself. Oh, you're going to humble me? You? Having a plastic cup with a little beer? Come on, man. Like, my top 3 is cooking. I would say that, I've thought about this before.
Yeah.
For men and women, if you were going to put together like a toolkit to increase your value outside of looks, which I've often said, if you really care about your looks, you could go to work on that. People that look good put more time into it. That's a fact, right? So, but if you were going to just get like 4 or 5 skills, cooking would be one.
Both ways, like if
man or woman.
Yeah, man
and
or woman.
it's a useful thing. I'm not a good cook, full disclosure. I've always had girlfriends that like to cook, and I'm always thankful for that, right?
But
maybe that's something I filter for.
If a guy knows how to cook, that's got to be...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can make a hell of a quesadilla.
That's great.
Just right, crisp.
So you've locked that down. That's great.
That's a go-to, man. Make a quesadilla. Now, that's an interesting thing, right? Cooking, intimacy. No one talks about working on, like, people that working on that part of your life, whether that's being more comfortable with it, being better at it. There's guys I know that brag to me all the time. They're like, oh man, I learned how to do this. There's a guy that I've done coaching with, coached him, Sex with Gods. He has a whole channel on that, and he said he's incredible. Let's get back to this really quick.
you. But if no buyers come, then what does that leave you?
Mm-hmm.
Should be on discount.
Yeah.
On sale. I don't understand why it's such a bad thing to be on sale. I'm on sale from 22.
Yeah, I feel you.
Sale. Be 50% off.
Yo. Me and Jess are on a 2-for-1 special.
Special,
Sister
get it while you
wives.
can.
Sister wives.
Little twofer.
Yeah, she's delusional, man. But yeah, it's crazy.
What was your reaction? Go ahead.
I had to watch that again. But anyway, yeah, okay, she's to blame because she's allowing herself to, run away with all these fantastical ideas, but also the dating coach. I think the dating coach is taking her for a ride, and it's just like, I'm gonna just leave you to it and get the money. And then now she's fending for. If the dating coach actually said, "I want you to actually meet this man who is willing to give 200K, whatever," then that's something. But I think she's definitely being played.
No, I looked up the dating coach. She was hotter. Hotter girls get better results.
Surprising.
And I'm just like,
and it's so sad because the dating coach is making her believe, yeah, you can get what I've got.
That's what girls will say. Like, okay, for example, Sierra, right? In a way, she raised her price a bit, and she ended up with I'd say Russell's a better husband than Future, but that works if you're hot. I mean, maybe
she can afford to do that. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying I don't think it works the majority of the time. Everyone looks at Russell as a simp, but the girls that it works out for
I do, by the way.
are what?
Yeah.
I think he's a simp.
Yeah. But
100%.
the girls that it works out for are extremely hot. That's not going to work for the average girl, and so they'll look at girls that do that are hotter than them and think, oh, if I do that, then I could. But it's like, nah.
Well,
it ain't you.
I also think
it's so
that
sad.
women giving women advice a lot of the time tends to be telling them what they want to hear rather than what they need to hear.
100%.
I honestly feel like that's the way things are going. Whether it's like, "Girl, you were 10," like that's most of the case never true, right? 10s are perfect, and I happen to believe that perfect never exists. So there's always a way to better yourself. So
And also,
I've had
women,
it, but
sorry, go on, bro.
saying that like they can get like these high earning men, it's the same thing. It's just telling them what they want to hear because they want that in a man. So the advice is, you're right in wanting that, you deserve that, all that, bullshit. When at the end of the day, the need to hear is you need a reality check and you need to sort your head out. Cause it's like, you ain't going anywhere.
I said the answer was just kill their confidence, humble them out, right? The relationship coach is better looking than them, so they have no chance anyways. They're just taking their money. That's ridiculous, dude. Ridiculous. Have you ever had some friends that you were friends or colleagues or something like where you were like, wow, like, where'd you meet her? Like it was just because they always talk about women always date up, hypergamy, right? Have you ever met where you're like, damn, like, how'd you guys end up together? Have you had that?
For sure, a few times. Where I was taken a little back, I was like, oh.
Was that jealousy, you think?
I'm sure. I mean, if I wasn't dating someone at the time, maybe. Yeah. If I was like, oh,
it is kind of because like if you're happy with yourself, you're like, fuck, dude, good for you, man. If you're in a bad place, you're like, how did this happen? He must be a simp. He's a simp. I saw him buy her fucking pizza, dude. I saw that shit. Yeah. He opened the door for her and stuff. It's like, well, I mean, she's pretty good looking. She's a nice girl. It's ironic that I talk about this because I'm not one to do those things automatically or something. It's not like I'm a proponent to that. But I'm not threatened if a guy acts that way. I've known plenty of them that's their thing, right? I always pay, I always get her door, I always do this. Cool. It's fine by me. Don't complain about it later on.
But you think a lot of people would call like that person a simp nowadays?
I mean, I remember I've talked about this before. When I was in high school, the big one was you're a captain, save a hoe.
Yeah.
That was a huge one for Master P. And like it would get in your head. Like, am I being too nice? Right? Am I being too nice? or am I doing too much? Because it would be a narrative that you heard in a rap song that you're like, hell nah, dude.
You don't do that. You don't
Yeah.
do that. Yeah.
I think you make your own rules and morals to that, right?
Are you just being a gentleman, or like
yeah,
going
like
a little
you
too far, or like what?
Like what's your results too, right? What's your results? But this idea that everyone's got men and women figured out, people are individually wrapped. They're a little bit different. But going back to those 5 core things, that could be a whole nother show or a whole nother, maybe a short. Like learn how to cook would be one.
Definitely.
It's just useful.
Definitely.
It's useful for you.
Yeah.
It's useful for dating, right? I'm not saying to be a fucking chef.
Yeah, those have been some of the like best dates. I've had girls come over and we've like had
And you cooked?
Yeah, because I can actually cook a little bit. I can.
Tacos?
I can make more than a quesadilla.
What's your specialty?
I like fish, like doing salmon, something like that.
Like a baked
Yeah.
with risotto or?
Yeah, some pasta or something.
And you
something
make
like
the
that.
pasta and
Yeah.
everything?
Oh,
You,
yeah.
and you just tell her, hey, just chill out for a little bit.
Like
I'm
you do
gonna
it
say-
together if she's maybe if she's like
Like
not
chop
capable,
the cucumbers.
she can, whatever. But usually like girls.
I
can
would
help
say
out.
cooking's a big one, yeah, because it's universal, right? And then I would say learning good intimacy, not just moves. I would say that even if you're not going to get there during dating, like having that as a part of why someone's going to be more attracted or want to hang out with you again. What would be number 3, 4, and 5? You think? Just good skill set on both sides. I have one in my head that I don't have, but I know is a good one.
A skill set.
Like just one that it's unisex would be the word. Right? Like cooking's
like
unisex,
cooking, yeah.
Intimacy's, even though you're doing different things on the
Right,
intimacy
but
thing,
it's
you're probably gonna have to learn different parts. But so it'd be that. What's another one?
yeah, I don't know. Give me yours. I'm struggling to find one.
This is one I'm not great at, but guys that are good at it and women that are good at it, it's a great date. Well, he's very perplexed right now. He's like, huh? What do you guys think in the chat here? Don't be afraid to throw a super chat our way for lunch here. What do you guys think? Cooking? Being good with intimacy? Because this is really interesting because people talk about pickup artistry and all that other stuff, but actually, and looks. But like when someone talks about someone they're dating and they're a good cook, they're like, damn, she could cook. And then you could say the same thing about a guy. A woman would be impressed with her friends. Intimacy. The funny thing about that is, I think, like when you start dating, guys don't get as detailed. I think women are more detailed with their friends. Have you been around, like,
Yeah.
when you have a girlfriend, you've been around her friends, they talk about it more. Like guys will just be like, we hooked up, it's good, like they won't go into like dirty details, especially if it's a girl they like. Where women will be like, on and on. So intimacy, cooking, what's up? You don't have any other ones? You're on a mental block. That's as far as you go. You get the salmon done, you get good intimacy, and
We're
you
good
got
to
her.
go. We're good to go. In my book.
Eve says sex is more important. When cooking together, then you can create intimacy. It's so funny because the go-to for a lot of people is movies, right? Rye Flint says intimacy's number 1. It's so funny because there's not a lot of, like, think about it like this. I'm sure there is. I don't know about them. That's like a rabbit hole I haven't gone down. No pun intended. But like intimacy Zoom classes.
Okay.
Are they out there? They must be out there, right?
I'm sure there's a Zoom class for everything.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of YouTube for all that stuff. So I would say that the other thing to be good at is probably dancing.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a good dancer.
That's right.
I've never put in time on it though. Like I
You've never
would
gone any classes.
no. But I would say like learning how to salsa
Yeah, something
or
like
merengue. I say like if you have
Like
that
a
in your back
specific-
pocket as a
yeah,
man or a
yeah.
woman, even if the other person doesn't know how to do that and you can lead, I'd say that's a nice one.
Yeah.
There's
I wasn't
nothing.
even thinking that.
There's nothing simp about that,
Dancing? No.
right? I would say that'd be one. What would be another one? I've dated women that sing, and I always think that's a like attractive thing. That's definitely not something when you get older that you practice. You kind of do that when you're young. Eve says sport, gym, swim, hike, gardening.
That's what I was thinking, but that would be maybe specific, like my case in particular.
Only thing about that is, what I would say about like cooking, intimacy, dancing, it's kind of like a skill.
Yeah.
Those are places, but like those are active things like hiking, gardening. Yeah.
And it kind of depends on the person you're with.
Those are things that are good to do together, Eve.
Yeah.
I'm saying that if you're gonna have something in your repertoire that you can go to, cooking, like if we go out and we go dancing, singing, anything else?
I definitely wouldn't do the singing part of
One of my clients that is like a big Corey Wayne follower, like his dates, he does like 3, like they go out to eat, they go play darts, then they went to canoe. He's like, you always have to go to the next step. Like he follows that really,
like
really
bump up
closely.
the level of date.
Yeah. What's up, All Royalty? I would say that those are the big ones though. Cooking's underrated probably, because that's what you usually go to eat somewhere. Actually, you know what I would say that's underrated is scouting out good places to go or knowing your city. Like I've been on dates before where I've moved somewhere new, probably because when you move somewhere new, you're single, right?
Usually,
Yeah. And I would say that when you know your city or town, you're the one that knows it and the other person doesn't know it as well. Being able to like take them to cool places, that's a skill to have. Because there's some people that you're like, you lived here how long? You don't know any. It's like, it's cool for the other person to play tour guide.
Yeah, that's what Eve says. Traveling, road trips. Yeah, some great road trips are the best. I love that.
You're a road tripper. Yeah, I don't like
yeah.
being in the car too long. Never have.
You don't, yeah.
I don't
for
like
some
driving
reason, I like
long
driving.
distances.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Any closing questions on that? We got a little off topic here. We had I had another one on deck from. Maybe we can just close out with a little humor here. This is from Alpha Male Strategies. Never get into a relationship with a woman. This is the title of the video.
Never get into a relationship.
Never
with a
get
woman?
into a relationship with a woman. B's face just went, huh?
Wait, like period? Like
Yeah.
that's it?
All right. Let's check this out. Let me see if I can pull this up.
To go purple pill. Had a loyal patron supporter wanted to know, did he make the right choice in going purple pill? Well, first off, guys, before I say anything else and give y'all the steps and to know you're ready to be purple pill, let me just say this. Eventually, every last one of us is going to be purple pill one day. Just so we don't do absolutes, let's just say 99.99% of us are going to be purple pill one day. Now, some of you guys think, well, purple pill just means that you're in a monogamous relationship, married or whatever. But basically, guys, purple pill is just when you want something more with women than just sex, right? That's purple pill. When you want something of some substance. Guys, no matter how much you like sleeping around, I know some of you guys may be watching me, you're 20, you're 21, and you can't fathom a day when you actually care about women for more than sex. But I'm telling you now, listen to an old head. I'm older, been there, done it, been around the block, circled around it again. And then when I got tired, I double back around one more time. Eventually, you're going to want something with some substance. Okay? Eventually, sex gets old. All right? Once you get a few bodies under your belt, it all starts to feel the same. Well, I ain't going to say that. There's some girls out there with some good shit. But y'all guys get what I mean. You're going to want something with some substance. You start to value date night as much as a woman. All right? No matter, y'all guys ever wondered to yourself, how can a guy like The Rock, why a guy like The Rock, who could basically have any woman he wants, theoretically speaking, right? Why would he settle down and get married and all this, guys? Guys, at some point, you're going to want some substance. It's like you can eat all the candy. You know, most of us, our cheat day is we cheat on the weekend, right, on our diet, right? We cheat on the weekend. And you eat all that bullshit on the weekend. You drink all that alcohol and you eat all them sweets. And by Monday, you ready for a goddamn salad. You ready for some goddamn oatmeal. You ready for some goddamn nutrition. Like at some point, no matter how good and sweet something is, everything gets old after a while. No matter how great you think it is now, right? For all you young guys that's, 21, 22, 23, I know the club and nightlife seems like the greatest thing ever, right? And you just think, man, this is going to be me till the day I die. Man, by the time you get 26, 27, man, damn that shit. Most of you, right? Most of you. A lot of you, man, damn that shit. So the point I'm trying to say, guys, is at some point, all of us pretty much is going to go purple pill. Now, I prefer all you to be a high-value purple pill man, which is like me and Michael Blackston. Any of y'all guys seen when Michael Blackston proposed to his girl on the Breakfast Club? So he basically wants something with some substance, right? He proposed. Any of you guys can go check out the Breakfast Club interview, the last one he did with Michael Blackston, right? They did with Michael Blackston. And he proposed to his girl, right? And after she said yes, she said, bye, side bitches. And then Angela Yee said, hey, so Michael, no more side bitches? And then he told me some 90% of side bitches, bye-bye. Like, I ain't gonna get rid of all my side bitches. See, when you're a high value purple pill man, a woman will still share you. Okay? So I just want to put that out there that hopefully you guys make yourself high value enough to where a woman don't mind sharing you. Like y'all know I love to use Diddy as my example of a high value guy. All right. When he was with Cassie, right? He was fucking around. She know he was fucking around, but she tolerated that shit for.
Here's the interesting thing. This is good. It's funny, right? Mm-hmm. Right? He's making a good point about you get sick of stuff, mm-hmm. and I don't think. Well, I don't know if you need to use the term purple pill to just say that you want to be in a monogamous relationship or have something with substance. It's kind of funny how these pill things go, but it's funny. But I'm gonna use P Diddy. I'm gonna use the reality is you don't really know any of these people. It's just gossip. So you don't know if when he's like, oh, I'm gonna still see. Yeah, he's like this other guy that if he was like, this is my buddy, I kind of know him.
I have a more.
But you just kind of assume. You just kind of assume that oh, I know that he's got some side women or something. Like, you don't know, dude. He might have side dudes. You know what I mean? Who knows? You don't know any of these people. They put on a front and a persona for the camera, right? But I just think it's funny that I agree with him though.
No, I totally.
You get tired of a nightclub. You get tired of a certain
when
food.
I was 21, 22, and
that's the hardest thing about monogamy is if you're in a long relationship, there's going to be when people are like, you got to always date your woman. It's like you still can get bored, both of you. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, we got to change things up. It's like I've been in situations where I've been in long-term relationships where you both are kind of making an effort and it's still kind of boring. You're like, let's go to this new restaurant, let's try something new or do something different. And you're like, you're sitting there and you're like, both sit there and you're like, yeah, there's not much to talk about. Right? And it's not that you're a bad couple or anything. You're just like, we're trying. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, well, you guys need to work. It's like, sometimes it's just stale. And actually, the funny thing about that, the reverse, this is what I would tell people if I was giving advice. I've thought about this before. Rather than, oh, you need to keep courting, you need to keep dating, which is a good concept. Mm-hmm. It's just not foolproof, right? Because there's some times where you get. Actually, what I would recommend is you go on a sabbatical from the relationship for 2 weeks where you don't talk, almost like what a breakup does to you. Mm-hmm. And then you see each other.
Right.
It's almost like a relationship fast for a week. Every 3 months, and you guys don't talk at all and just fucking miss each other. That I think actually might be better. If your relationship's just stale and bored, not other things, because when you're in a breakup, that's what happens is you go, fuck.
Right.
Fuck, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done, like, I just miss her now. I just, there's a void there. So actually, I would recommend when you're in long-term relationships, like, people used to do it. Like they go away on trips or they do things, but then there's people that just don't do things on their own. And those are the ones that, like, when you don't take time to go hang out with your friends or do that, but go do like a planned week where you don't talk, no texting, no interaction. People will come back and have like the best intimacy they've had or something, 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You're looking at me, you're like, yeah, it's true, huh? I've had great relationships that still get boring. Me too.
Yeah.
It was no one's fault. It was no like stop courting. It was just, just like I've gone to a place for breakfast for fucking 3 months and then all of a sudden I'm like, I can't fucking eat here anymore.
Is that just like human nature?
I think it is, but I do think there's humans out there that we also like we like consistency. We like things to predict. I think that I'm just listening to this new audio book, and it was talking about you don't realize how much influence we have from like the internet, from billboard signs, from TV. Like, we're just getting fucking pummeled with doing better, getting better, and the funny thing, this book, I've never thought of this before. The author was saying that we're actually really inundated with scarcity because that's what gets people to buy things. I never thought of it that way. You know how you always hear like, oh, think of gratitude, think of being abundant. Like I've never liked that term abundance because I don't know it's just such a broad term, right? And it's like advertising does the opposite of abundance. It tells you need items. You need this item for a particular reason. And so going through that in life with TV, with the computer and all that stuff, you're constantly just being bombarded with these things and you have less gratitude. You have less abundance because of that, because you're in a scarcity mindset. So much going on in the world, many topics, no time for boring. You can meditate together. Be more grateful for a good life. It's funny because all these books have the same things. Like gratitude.
Just repackaged.
Yeah. It's constantly. All right, I'm going to call it a day. It's been 2 hours of fun. This has been really good. Rye Flynn, I appreciate you. Eve, you're appreciated too. Sabina. Wow, we got a lot of females on here. All royalty, trust God. That's a good message. I don't know who's left on deck. We'll be back tomorrow. Take care. It's curtains.